G'day, Professor Joseph Drew. I'm here to talk to you about the proposal to de-amalgamate Cootamundra-Gundagai Regional Council. It's good to see the Boundaries Commission's made a good decision. There was a dissenting report, and that report was full of some really important misconceptions, which I clarify in this video. Now, I'm here to talk to the community to clarify this, and also the Office of Local Government and the Local Government Minister. So please stay tuned and listen all the way through the video. Thank you. So first of all, thank you to the Boundaries Commission for making a good recommendation to de-amalgamate. I don't agree entirely with everything in the report, but that doesn't matter. Now, there is a dissenting report, and I have no problem with people dissenting if they have good reasons for the dissension. However, as I outline in the next slide, most of their reasons and reasoning were flawed. And it's important that everyone has access to good information. Now, in the past, the New South Wales state government has not been able to access good information. They have not been given good advice. A lot of people would say that the advice from KPMG in 2015-16 was particularly poor advice. Now you have good advice, Minister. The ball is squarely in your court. I would love it, and the whole community in the state would be very grateful if you made a good decision for the community based on the good advice before you. No one ought to hold against the current state government bad or unfavourable decisions that were made in the past on the basis of bad advice. That's not your fault. This time you do have good advice though, and we're hoping for a good decision. Okay, so as I've alluded to, the dissenting report has some significant misapprehensions, and the Minister, the Office of Local Government and the community need to be aware of those misapprehensions. So first of all, I was quoted wildly out of context. I was extremely surprised that someone with legal training would take bits and pieces of sentences and stick them together and quote someone out of context in that way. Obviously, it was necessary for his narrative, but it was completely contrary to both the intent and the meaning of my reports. And I would encourage the community and the Minister and the Office of Local Government to read my reports in their entirety, and they will see that what I'm saying is correct. Now, second of all, there seems to be some sort of suggestion or idea in the dissenting report that the fiscal predicament of Cootamundra-Gundagai Regional Council is somehow rather strange, and it's all down to, or most of it's down to, bad local government management, bad local government councillors, and a bad Gundagai community. That comes through very strong in the dissenting report. Now, the problem with that is that I've got so far 2 A-ranked journal papers, empirical, robust papers, in the best journal in this country and one of the best journals in the world, showing that in aggregate, the amalgamated councils in New South Wales since 2016 are operating with higher unit costs, i.e. they are less efficient than what they were prior to amalgamation. So if we're going to blame the predicament that Cootamundra-Gundagai Regional Council is currently in on the community or the councillors or the management, then you have a problem, because you've got to explain why it is that just about every amalgamated council in the state has problems. That they all have bad communities, bad local management, bad councillors. It's a really difficult story to prosecute. In addition, we know that IPART has been approving significant increases to rates for amalgamated councils right throughout the state, and they will approve more this year. Now, I know in the SRV that we did for Cootamundra-Gundagai Regional Council that we said it was due to the costs incurred by amalgamation, and IPART accepted that. I respect IPART. I believe everyone should respect IPART as an independent body, and they have supported this contention. They are at odds with this dissenting report. Now, the dissenting report makes much of the opinion of Mr. Sampson, who was the head of the ILGRP, and Mr. Comrie, and some people that they quote. It was just opinion. There was no factual evidence tendered by these people to support their opinion. So it's just their idea. Their idea is as good as your idea or anyone else's idea, unless they provide facts to support what and prove what they are saying. Now, they did not provide facts. Now, what is cited and what is made such a big deal of is the fact that Mr. Sampson said, look, you don't get all the savings in 2 or 3 years, although that's contrary to what KPMG said. They said that you'd be making savings by the end of the 3rd year, that it's more like a 5 to 10 year process. Now, I don't disagree with Mr. Sampson. You don't get all your savings in the first 2 or 3 years. I've consistently said that. However, it's far longer than 2 or 3 years now that we're talking about. Moreover, I have actual robust evidence, empirical evidence published in local government studies. You can see it down the bottom of the screen there, the best local government journal in the world with some of my colleagues, showing what's happened in Queensland. Queensland did their amalgamations 12 years ago. There is no statistically significant proof of enduring savings arising from the amalgamations in Queensland 12 years ago. So even after 12 years, we still don't have any savings. So when are these magical, fanciful savings ever going to arise? It may not be after 2 or 3 years, I agree. But so far we've got evidence that says that even after 12 years, we don't see these savings. I would suggest and tender to you that they will never occur. And I've explained in my recent book, Saving Local Government, and in videos on this YouTube channel, why the savings never occur, because most of them were never possible. So can we please not put any weight on uninformed opinion backed up with no evidence, and instead look at the scholarly literature that goes through this really robust, difficult peer review process and has been vetted by the best journals in the world. There is, contrary to the dissenting report, empirical proof of diseconomies of scale. I do a data and development analysis and show beyond doubt that there was diseconomies of scale, but if you don't want to accept that report, you can also look at the 2 peer-reviewed A-ranked papers that I just referred to a few minutes ago that also show diseconomies of scale. Now, these papers and my data was based on audited financial statement data. It's based on sophisticated empirical analysis. It's gone through the peer review process. It's not reasonable to doubt that. At some point, we need to accept that there are just some things that are facts. And the fact is that as a result of amalgamation, unit costs did increase, particularly at Cootamundra-Gundagai Regional Council. We have shown that diseconomies did emerge. It is a fact. It's indisputable by anyone that's going to be reasonable and sensible and look at the actual evidence. So is de-amalgamation doable? Absolutely. Is the contention that's raised in both reports that Gundagai community will struggle? Is that correct? Well, both communities will struggle even after de-amalgamation. De-amalgamation is not a silver bullet. You will still be getting your rate increases, and there's still more pain to come because we've got a big mess to deal with. However, the difference is if you de-amalgamate, once we get through that pain, that should be an end of things. Whereas if we stay amalgamated, the pain will continue. That huge SRV we did a few years ago, I said straight out to you at the time, it was only there to try to keep us liquid, to try to keep council solvent. I never intended for the SRV to get you to financial sustainability, because to do so would have been a massive increase, perhaps twice as much as we asked for. It's just not something that the community can bear. Now, things will continue to deteriorate if you continue to stay amalgamated. Eventually they will reach a crisis point. Things have deteriorated since last I looked at your financial data. The only solution to that is to get rid of this diseconomies of scale and to de-amalgamate. It's possible, we know it's possible. It's been done 5 times before in Australia. It's been done overseas. And I've got absolute faith in both communities pulling off a de-amalgamation with great success. Now, it's critically important that the community, both communities, my friends at Cootamundra and my friends at Gundagai, control this process, and that it's also managed by knowledgeable, independent people. It's really easy for one community to get accidentally disadvantaged. I've shown that in the literature before, unless they're both engaged. So I'd encourage particularly my friends in Cootamundra to get more engaged in this process, to know what's going on, and to make sure that your voice is heard throughout. So let me repeat the pledge I've made to both communities previously, and also offer a pledge to the Minister herself and the Office of Local Government. I am willing to do the de-amalgamation work myself. It would be a hard job. It's a long way away from where I live, 600 kilometres away, but I'm willing to take the time out from being an academic to do it because I believe it's in the best interest of this community. I'm willing to stake my considerable professional reputation, my bona fides, which can be proved in the scholarly research in the best journals in the world, on the success of this de-amalgamation, and if I was to do it, I can guarantee that it will be successful. I am also willing to help in any way, shape and form if you get someone else to do that. Now, for the Minister and the Office of Local Government, if you want to ring me, it's not hard to find my phone number. Type in my name and UTS, it'll pop up somewhere. If you want to ring me for an absolutely confidential conversation, I will answer any of the questions you might have completely and honestly, and put your mind at rest about the doability of this de-amalgamation. Please take that opportunity. Please understand I'm acting in goodwill for the best interest of the community, and I know you have the best interest of the community at heart also, so I encourage you to contact and talk with me. Look, if you found this video helpful, please consider subscribing and sending it around to others. I do these videos in my own personal time. They're there to help the community and help local governments because I care about communities and local governments. So please consider subscribing and flicking it around to others. Thank you very much for your time. Goodbye.